Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And we'll move into our new business. Board of Education future issues. There's our dates for our fall meetings, our next one being September 19th. Thereafter, the very next meeting is our work study and retreat. So make sure you note the different time. Not looking at anybody in particular, but
We're good.
great.
I've already addressed that issue.
So those are the rest of our fall board meeting dates. Any questions on those? We need to have action on it? I think we've already approved those, right?
Unless you added a new one. Did you add December? Ah, okay. You're good. We're good.
Okay.
They're established.
We'll move on to the rest of the new business, new position in special education / RMS. Dr. Dare?
Yes, ma'am. So I have a unique situation at the middle school this year. We've had 19 students that have transferred into the middle school this year with IEP services in some form or fashion. And we've only had 4 students transfer out. And so that's a little bit more of a caseload than our current teaching staff can handle. So long story short, we're requesting the board approve an additional special education teacher for the middle school to address that unforeseen caseload. Any questions about that?
Okay.
I would make the motion that we approve the additional position.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sure the rest of the teaching team is appreciative of that.
I know they are, yes.
Okay, old business. Compass Health. Dr. Deb Frost is going to present an update on Compass Health in our schools.
As she makes her way up, as a way of introduction, last year we started this program for the mental health side of our student safety programming, and she presented a unique opportunity, and principals have been very good to report back to us, so I thought it'd be good for you to hear an update and listen to how she thinks things are going and what the vision for the future would be. Welcome.
Thank you. That was very kind. It's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Quote by Frederick Douglass, abolitionist and statesman. I'd like to thank the board this evening, the school principals, the guidance counselors, and the teachers of the Rolla Public School District for doing just that, working on building strong children in partnership with Compass Health. We are grateful for the opportunity. I'd like to present you with a little data today, and I'm open to taking any questions that you may have on the program. It's a sad statistic in our society that we currently have a mass shooting every other week. Opioid use is at a crisis level never seen before, and suicide has surpassed motor vehicle accidents as the leading cause of death in teenagers. Last year there were 34,000 motor vehicle accidents and 44,000 deaths by suicide. If you don't pay attention to those numbers, your community will pay the price. We're excited to say that the Rolla Schools has opened their doors to us. This year, we currently have 4 school-based therapists in the system and 2 psychology doctoral interns. And we have 2 positions posted for additional team members. Last year was our first year, as Dr. Dallas shared, and we were excited. Really, I would say the program, in fairness, ran October through May because there was a little bit of startup and getting used to and educating the team on how to process the referrals. So in really an 8-month period, we served close to 150 children in the school that would not have received services otherwise of a therapeutic nature. Just as a reminder, this was a program that became available because we now have statute changes to allow us to bill Medicaid in the school, on school property for therapy. So for us, it's a Medicaid program, or we will accept self-pay from parents as well, and we accept all other referrals to our clinic. But the 150 that I speak about were actually served on school property. So we're super excited about that. This year already, and we're in the first quarter of the school year, we already have 75 students enrolled in the program across the Rolla system, with the high school leading the pack. I think that they're an excited team about it, and I think that the high school students often speak up themselves in addition to the teacher referrals and parent referrals. So It kind of makes sense that the older kids would have a higher volume initially because there's just more routes of referral. In our clinics, and the numbers are pretty consistent for the school-based referrals as well. Generalized anxiety disorder is the number one diagnosis we're seeing in new patients. That's not unexpected given the statistics that I just shared about our culture and what our children are facing every day. Even though it might not be occurring in Rolla, they're seeing it on the news, they're bombarded with it in the newspapers, and probably more importantly on social media. At this time, I'm happy to entertain any questions specifically on the program, how it works. Our plans are to continue to grow the program as the school tolerates us, and just as a reminder, we are also willing to come do any kind of psychoeducational programs for free within the school system to teachers, guidance counselors, or parent groups as needed.
Sarah, I wouldn't want to put you on the spot, but you could probably speak from the school counselor point of view too. But if you want to do that, you have to come to the microphone.
She's not
Well,
afraid.
while she's on her way up, just a quick question. Do most of the students that come continue to come regularly, or is it a lot of they're in a crisis mode, they need help right now, and it's a one-time thing?
We have more one-time consults, I think, at the high school level. Most of them really do enroll for a standard course of treatment. So whether that be 3 months or 6 months, depending on their presenting problem and treatment issues. So it's not year-long therapy, although last year there were some kids that did stay in, for a longer period of time. But it would just be like in our clinics. It's based on presenting problem.
Right.
But I know Sarah sometimes has some one-and-dones for assessment. Yeah, could speak to that. Sorry.
We've been really excited at the high school to have this opportunity to reach out and get our students help. Sometimes transportation is an issue. I have several students who their parents just can't get them to appointments outside of the school day, and this has been really helpful for some of those kids, particularly those who don't drive or don't have the gas money, that sort of thing, to be able to get there. It's also been great the way that the counselors from Compass Health have come in and just been a part of our team and been willing to talk through student situations with us and help us get those referrals in so that more students can get seen and get the help that they need. And they do see a lot of what I would consider our high flyer or our frequent flyers in the counseling center who have the most need, and a lot of times demand the most amount of time as well. So it's super helpful in terms of being able to share the wealth, in terms of being able to help students, not only the ones that are high need, but also freeing us up a little bit to spend time with kids who are less critical in need. So it's been a real asset, and across the district, the counselors have been very pleased with, from when we've talked about it, we've been very pleased with adding that to our programming.
How long are the sessions?
It varies, again, based on the presenting problem. They can be as brief as 15 minutes. That's uncommon, and typically we go up to 50 minutes. But we try to make sure, they don't come out of core class time, that it's appropriate to the presenting problem, and we find with the younger children, slightly briefer sessions tend to go better in terms of attention span.
How do they know about this service that's offered in the schools? How do the students know?
So our typical route of referrals is through teacher and guidance counselor, and we have no permission to contact families. So they identify individuals, unless a high schooler might come into the office and self-report, but they identify individuals that they think would benefit, and they contact the family and get permission for us to send a packet of information home. In that packet, it describes the program, and they give us a signature that allows us then to speak with their child. In a more crisis situation, the guidance counselor may call the parent and say, hey, is it okay if your child speaks with someone from Compass Health who's on our team and in the school?
Yeah, it's that student assistance team that each building has where they just become a part of that team. So when they're talking, I was in one at the high school where you all were doing your cabinet meeting, and everybody was just talking about individual kids, where they were, what they needed, and they were just like the SROs, were just part of that ongoing wellness team. And then we've physically built space for them to be in our building, so they're viewed by everyone eventually as just one of the staff members?
In the beginning, they really try to be part of the milieu and take on even some duties in the initial school year, so kids get used to seeing them in the building and see them as part of the team, even though they're really a Compass Health employee. And then we have a team member at our office that will walk parents through the packet and get the supporting information if the parent feels overwhelmed by. As long as they read it and sign it and give us the permission to call them, we will call them and walk them through the other information we might need to get from them, parent or guardian on the child. So we have a support staff in our facility. Our goal is to have the smallest burden possible on your team. But we do have to ask them to make initial contact because we're not allowed.
And then you do have an office here?
We do have an office in Rolla, yep, and we also have a 16-bed residential unit for adolescents who are experiencing substance use disorders. And we have a 4-bed facility for individuals with chronic mental health and developmental disabilities. So we have 3 programs:
Wonderful.
outpatient, teen residential, and an adult disabled programming.
Very good. Thank you.
Do you guys get any referrals from kids that either aren't enrolled in health insurance or insurance that maybe you guys can't bill? And if so, what do you guys do with those?
Yeah, so a student that would have no insurance, so here's the truth. It's rare for a child to be if they are uninsured, typically we can link them to where their best form of insurance would be. If their parents don't have insurance, they typically can get Medicaid. And we have folks who will help them through that process. If a child they have no insurance and their income is too high, we do have a sliding scale fee that goes down to $20. So the self-pay rate, depending on income, can go down to $20 for a session. So again, we receive federal money as well. I heard some of you talking about that earlier. So we do have to collect documentation to prove that we know their income before we offer them a slide, because we have to apply that fairly and consistently. We can't just offer anyone that fee, because it is based on income. But I think it's one of the lowest slides in the area for therapy.
Wonderful.
Do you feel like you've lost students because of the price, or is that usually not an issue?
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like last year we served 150 more students than we had served the year before. And interestingly enough, we have had quite a few referrals for other family members that then have come to the office. So as you know, children live in their family environment, and there are systemic issues at times. So sometimes once we get the child enrolled at school, then we can often see a parent or an older sibling or younger sibling in the office for other services that, again, helps that family culture and benefits everyone.
That's great.
Yeah. So I actually would say we probably have more business than we can almost keep up with.
So the
The
4
count-
buildings you're in now are,
So Amy Chambers has a office at the junior high and the high school, and she sort of splits her time there evenly. We have a school-based therapist, Sherry James, who goes to Mark Twain and Wyman. And Wyman is the elementary that also has our 2 doctoral level students there, and that is and they actually, it's sort of a free service to the kids, so Wyman gets to utilize them and has done that for, probably almost going on 10 years. That's just something that I had worked out with the school principals there to get some great training for the students and get some help to the school system. And so Wyman has Sherry James and 2 interns, and then Truman has Tammy Cox, and the middle school has Megan Harris, who's our newest SBT this year. But they all love their jobs, speak volume of praise for the teams and the space and the generosity and collaborative nature. So it's really been impressive. And I think we're in 40 school systems across the state. And the things I hear at the other school systems, I'm like, that doesn't happen in Raleigh. That doesn't happen in Raleigh. So I'm getting myself a bad reputation for singing your praises. But
May get some new employees.
yeah. So our map is quite large. We are just so you know, Compass Health is the largest community mental health organization in the state. We're actually the 3rd largest in the nation. And we also carry a federal distinction of certified behavioral health clinic. It's an 8-state pilot federal project, and in that project we are the largest in the nation. So we're a small town company that's quite large, and so we're really proud to bring those resources to the communities that we live in and raise our children in. So, can I entertain any other questions?
Sounds great.
Well, I will leave you with this quote: "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much." Helen Keller.
Thank you.
Thank you.
great. Okay. Up next, summer school presented by Mr. Hounsome.
Okay, I wanted to give you a summary of our summer school program. We've finalized everything. We have a new clicker. I may not know how to run. I got it, never mind. I've got it. Okay, I'll go back. So first of all, here's a summary of our overall summer school program as compared to our last 3 years. You can see that our summer school this year was pretty typical to what we've been. 2019, 1,303 total students in our summer school program, which represents about a third of our total student population, right at a third. That generated 93,000 plus hours of attendance in summer school, which equates to an ADA, or average daily attendance calculation, of 89.256, which, a way of thinking of that equates to 89 students attending school on a full year basis. So that number of hours equates to 89 full year students, which is how our funding for summer school is based on hours of attendance and our ADA. A little breakdown of those numbers so that you can kind of see where our kids are attending. You see on the left there, each of our grade spans, the number of actual students who are attending summer school. The 9 through 12 number is a 460 student number, but I broke that apart in the right-hand column so that you can see what kids are choosing to take. Our June seated summer school enrollments, our physical summer school, there were 474 enrolled sections of summer school where kids came to take classes. By far, the most popular choices were driver's ed, which, one more time, thank you very much to Fairground Chevrolet for providing 3 cars for our program to use. We had well over 100 kids receive instruction on driving this summer. Health, personal finance, government, and PE are by far the most popular offerings for our summer school. We did offer an online version of health, personal finance, and government offered through Rolla Public Schools and through our teachers, and through the months of June and July, we had 100 students take advantage of those courses. And then 69 students took online classes through Launch, and those were classes that we did not offer. Everything from Japanese to theater appreciation and everything in between. So that came out to those 460 9 through 12 students on the left ended up completing 643 actual classes in the high school summer school. As I said, our revenues are driven by hours of attendance based on our summer school ADA at the top line, the 89.256 that we looked at a previous screen. That generates, so actually what happens is those 89 hours get put into our total school state funding formula for the year. So what we did this year with the help of Dr. Dare and Mrs. Atkinson, in order to isolate those hours, we actually worked with DESE to run that ADA number through the formula, isolating just the summer school hours and stripping away everything else. What we ended up calculating was that the state funding generated from summer school was a little over $573,000 through formula dollars. A little over $90,000 in addition for Prop C revenue. We receive a Prop C amount for every ADA throughout the school year, and summer school is no different. We did have received $26,000 plus in local food service revenue. That's students paying for their lunch accounts, for a total revenue number of $689,292 combined through all those sources. For our expenses, these are our major areas of expense. Food service is for salaries and food. Supplies within serving students was $21,000. Transportation is fuel, maintenance, and salaries. Our teaching staff includes teachers and classroom aides throughout summer school. The professional services primarily are fees that we paid to Launch to pay for the online classes. So for the launch classes, we do pay for the students to take those classes, and then we are counting their attendance in our summer school attendance number is the way that works. And then supplies spent in summer school, a little under $5,000. So total expenses for this year, you can see a little over $351,000. So in summary then, total expenses of $351,830, total revenue of $689,292. And I will say that $689 is a much more accurate number. In the past, we've done a very simple calculation based on a per ADA calculation, but running it through the full formula kicks in some weighted ADA calculations and some other things that are new. Thanks to Kendra for working with Desi on that. And you can see our summer school net this year is a little over $330,000 for the summer. So another, I believe, successful summer program. The addition of the online classes, both through Launch and through our local teachers, I think opens up a lot of options for kids in the summer that maybe can't come to the seated course for 3 hours a day for 20 days in June. So just trying to add increasing flexibility, trying to still offer classes at the elementary and middle level that keep students engaged in a fun learning environment that makes them want to be there over the summer is always our goal. We're always trying to get better in our class offerings, but I would say it was another successful summer session, and we hope to improve our offerings and our services next year as well. So I'd be happy to take any questions about the summer school program.
Craig, if memory serves correct, in the years past, we usually come just barely above breaking even.
Well, that plus, so what we did, on the sheet last year, we had calculated state revenue to be in the mid $300,000. And then we did list the Prop C calculation last year was around 90. So our revenue estimate last year was probably it was around mid 400s. So yes, this is higher. It's not a higher amount of revenue. It's a much more accurate picture of our revenue when we run it through the DESI form. Yeah.
So you had a listing there for the launch
Yes.
students, I think
Say
60.
launch or lunch?
Launch.
Gotcha. Launch. Okay.
I think 69, was that the completed courses?
Those are, well, when you say completed, those are all the ones that students stayed in long enough for us to be charged. So we did have students that that signed up for the classes, but just like I guess in college, end up dropping in the first couple days. So I did calculate, I was a little concerned, the launch classes are quite rigorous, as are all online classes. They take a lot of discipline, but squeezing that much material into a short 1 month, or in some cases even a 2-week period, is tough. So I did calculate our GPA. I was concerned about our student success in launch, so I calculated our average GPA for the entire group was 2.93, so just a little under a 3.0. Of those 69 classes, 39 A's, 9 B's, 5 C's, 9 D's, and 7 F's are incompletes. So it was actually better than maybe what I had feared. Just talking with some kids who took the classes, the number of hours that they were spending, you do have to be very dedicated to complete those. But it does give some flexibility to our students. So I do like our relationship with them, but I would caution people when you get into it, know what you're getting into.
And are they cautioned by the counselors at the high school when they're signing?
We do our best we can to explain what launch classes are. Again, it's a lot different taking an online class for a semester versus trying to fit in a semester's worth of work in a month. And so we try the best we can, but certainly if kids want to try it, we want to give them that chance too.
And how about enters from incoming kindergarten students this year? Was that any
So we
change?
were at 107 kindergarten students, which is lower than it was prior to us opening our PUPS program. So I think our kindergarten class this year, it's right around 300, I think. So it's about a third of our kindergarten class came to the summer school program.
Okay.
Mr. Handsome, I just wanted to add, I took personal finance over the summer online with Mr. Haberman at the high school, and it was very helpful to have that flexibility. And I'm glad that I can have my 7th hour off senior year, and I didn't have to take personal finance. So I'm really glad that we have that option, and I hope it continues.
And what you hear there, you know, people think of summer school as credit recovery or taking a class they failed. That's not summer. Summer school is taking those classes to create flexibility within their regular school year schedule, either to open up ability to take other classes, or I have a senior who has an hour off as well. They tend to grab onto that as well. So it does offer some flexibility.
Does Launch offer any AP courses at all?
We do offer some AP courses. We did not have, I don't think we had anyone take one over the summer though, but they do offer advanced placement courses. We did have a few take some science courses. Our science teachers this year, when kids came into their class, were a little concerned in speaking with the kids about how much content they had covered and how much lab knowledge they had through taking the online classes. So we did contact Launch. They sent us all of their curriculum and labs that the kids had worked on. I gave those to the high school science teachers who were going to review all of that and just make sure that kids were getting a good science background through those courses.
So regardless of a grade, an incomplete or an F, it's still included in what we're billed from Launch.
Unless, if they did not drop the class within the prescribed drop period, we are. So I had Kendra calculate for me because I was curious kind of what our launch expenses were as compared to our ADA. So we paid out a little over $17,000. With 69 licenses, it's $255 per. So it was a little over $17,000 paid to them, and the hours of attendance generated a little over $23,000 in ADA revenue. So it was plus $6,000. But so roughly, I mean, it's fairly close, fairly even, but certainly enough that there's certainly no financial incentive not to offer.
Well, a student who maybe took a class and failed or didn't finish the class, will they be allowed to enroll for that again next year, or will there be some type of intervention or counseling to?
So I wouldn't go so far as to say not allowed,
Okay.
but I think that's certainly a counseling piece prior to signing up for courses in the future. Yeah. I think that's certainly appropriate to talk about that before going through it again. Okay? All right, thank you,
Great,
guys.
thank you.
Were you gonna say something? Okay. I was gonna say something. Okay, on to long-range facility planning and program update. Dr. Dare, Dr. Zalas will discuss our planning updates and the Excellence K-12 survey work.
Yeah, I sent you the contract that was proposed. We had a meeting with Rick Nobles from Excellence K-12 last week, and they generated a work agreement that's similar to what we've used in the past, and instead of Patron Insight, it's Excellence K-12. And that'll be on the docket for approval at the September 19th meeting, but kind of wanted to talk through that today. More so, the numbers haven't changed a lot on the online survey, and we'll certainly keep that open. Mr. Nobles has that survey. He has access to the responses, and he had it with him. He actually had started creating a phone survey based on what he already knew of what we were doing. And of course, we've worked with Patron Insight since 2005, I think. And so we have the opportunity to do either 300 or 400 phone calls, and there's a margin of error reduction at 400 to 4.9% margin of error, and that cost us $16,000. If it's 300 phone calls, it's 14,000, right under 15,000. So they'll call registered voters in the community and gain the input for the probability of whatever we do at our work session on the 3rd being successful in April. It'll help inform you as to whether we put something on the ballot for January. And so I just want to make sure we're not making a decision on Excellence K-12 tonight, but we will need to make a decision on the 19th because they plan to be here on the 3rd for our work session, and then they'll get in the field right away and have information back to us by Thanksgiving. So we'll have a lot of time to go through that. So our work on the 3rd will be about narrowing those 7 projects down to a workable number, and also at our meeting on the 3rd will be Stiefel, our bond underwriter, who will provide us with the impacts to the tax levy. There's companion surveys for community, parents, and staff, and they're $1,000 apiece, and it's the same way. There'll also be an online companion, so we'll have one more online survey. The data usually trails the same, but it's not necessarily a registered voter. The value and the accuracy is in the actual phone calls. So just for discussion purposes, we're going to need to weigh the difference between the 300 and 400 and what you want to do there. So we've got some time to make that decision. I wanted to let you know what we've been doing with Mr. Nobles and how our meeting went last week. Also, I know Dr. Dare is going to talk to you about a trip to Washington to look at an auditorium that's been converted from a gymnasium, and he provided pictures of one from Weston that had been converted that we forwarded to you to look at. So Dr. Dare will facilitate your availability for a future field trip between now and the 3rd. So
Yeah, and I'll probably just send you an email tomorrow if that's okay, and maybe propose a couple, 3 dates, and you can check your calendars, and we can try to narrow that down a little bit, see where we go from there. And also might mention, we've been in contact with the architect, Mark Ruther. They're going to have revised cost estimates for us on most of those projects and information, and he's also planning to attend the meeting so that if you have questions, he can be there to directly answer those and talk about options and that kind of thing.
many of us will be at MSBA, and they will be too. So one year when we first started working with Honer, we spent most of a lunch and afternoon just going through a facility plan, and that's very valuable time. So we'll see the availability. That's one more conversation we can have with them as well, as they'll be there. So so look for that email. Other than that, the numbers are very similar. We're at 1,455 responses to the survey so far, and percentages haven't changed that we showed last time. So happy to answer any questions about the proposal from Excellence K-12 so that we can make a decision on the 19th. If you
Aaron, did we do any of the companion surveys the last time
We did not on the last one, but we have before. The only companion we had to the phone survey was the online version that was on our website, which would be just like what we have now, only minus instead of 7 questions, it might be 2, wherever the scope goes from our work session. It would be the same question worded the same way as their phone survey. Rick has a lot of history with this district, so it was quite easy for him they worked with us on our strategic plan too, so feel pretty good about him knowing the district. There's not a lot of learning curve when it comes to knowing our community and our district.
On the phone surveys, do you know how many attempts are made to try to contact somebody?
You mean like at one individual?
One
or?
individual.
I used to know that. I know that if they call and they ask the first question, are you a registered voter in the community? If they say they're not, they terminate the call. So they keep calling until they get to 400.
Okay.
But I don't know how many times they might try to call. In all the years that we've worked, I've never been called, and I've found many people that have. And I guess, and now this day and age, before I came down here, I had a phone call that said mainline China on my phone. I have no idea. I didn't answer it. I got one from supposedly from Social Security Administration too, wanting my information. So those are 2 scams. Mainline China I've never seen, so I'm anxious to. But most people won't answer, if they think it's that kind of call. So we'll have to do a good job of telling people, if you do receive a call from Excellence K-12, please spend the time and take it. And so we'll push that out when they're in the field doing that work. We'll make sure that our community knows that. It's a good question.
Rick did say that they would be ready to put that in the field as soon as, I mean, it'll start pretty quickly after we give him the thumbs up, and that we should have results by our November board meeting. So, that was good. Anything else?
That's it.
Did you want to tell us about your mainline China call?
I don't know. I'm not calling it back. It just
Okay.
showed up mainland China.
Lauren, it's your turn. Would you comment, let us know what's going on all of our kids' activities?
I would love to. Okay, so first of all, as you all know, our Pride Night unfortunately got rained out last Friday, but the Bulldogs still played the football game, and we won 32-24 against Glendale. And Pride Night will be rescheduled. It will be September 13th at 5:30, and that will be a home game against Hillcrest. And then also, in the world of sports, I'm not going to go through every single sport because there's a lot. But one thing you might be surprised to know, our wrestling team has already started. They're having open mats for anyone to come out and practice after school on Tuesdays. Also, we have a boys soccer game tonight. It's going on right now, I believe. And I think varsity starts at 6:30. And that's their first home game of the season. And then also our band, our first competition will be September 21st in Sullivan. And the band also did get to perform at the first football game last Friday. They weren't wearing uniforms because it might have rained, but they performed half of their show. It's a different type of show this year. It's a mountain themed. I think it's called the Sept, but you definitely should check it out. The next football game, I think they'll be performing as well.
The harmonica is spectacular.
Yeah, we have. There's one student. His name is Brody. He plays a harmonica solo in the middle of the show, which is really awesome. Yeah. Also, in the world of academics, something new this year. I think I might have mentioned this the last board meeting, but our AP testing. It used to be in the spring that you had to register to take an AP test, but now you have to register by October 24th, I believe. Yes, you have to register for an AP test by October 24th. So that's a little bit different for all of our students taking AP classes this year. That's something that parents should look forward to, talking to students if they want to take the AP test or enroll in dual credit for those classes. Also, with ACTs, juniors will be able to take their ACT for free this year, so they should look forward to that. I think it's the February ACT date. And also, we have some students who will be taking the ACT looks like this September 12th, I believe. Also, with some of our elementary schools, they always have some fun things going on. Mark Twain has a PTO ice cream social tonight. That's from 6 to 7, so you might have time to hop over there and get some ice cream. Also, Truman is having a bingo night. It's a family bingo night. Everyone is welcome. And that will be, September 24th from 6 to 7. And Wyman, the 3rd grade class, is taking a field trip to the state capitol in Jefferson City, and that will be on September 19th. And one thing that I'm personally proud of, our Echo newspaper published our first edition last Friday, and also the RHS Review, which is a little video broadcast put on by our video production class. They had their first issue last Friday as well. And lastly, this is a little farther out, but homecoming will be October 12th, so you can look forward to that as well. And I think I've covered everything on my list, but there's lots more out there too.
So for the RHS review,
Yes.
I made a recommendation that maybe the Board of Education would like to be featured sometime.
I can arrange.
What?
I can.
You don't want to be in a video?
Yeah, I think
My
that would be
niece
very fun.
happens to be in that class.
Nominate Carla to represent the board in the RHS review.
We can do that.
I don't think we were cool enough, just so you know.
Just kidding. Thanks, Lauren. Appreciate all the info. I know there's lots and lots going on out there. Has anybody made it to one of their schools lately? I know it's early. There's lots of things going on. I did get to go to Mark Twain's pep rally. It was super fun. Lots of sports kids there, lots of cheerleaders in the band, and very exciting for kindergarten to third graders. Very fun. And I don't get to go to the ice cream social tonight. Darn, we'll probably miss it. That's okay. There's some written reports to review, and there's some monitoring reports there, the financial reports. And I need a motion for us to go back into closed session. We need to go upstairs and do a
I'll make
couple more
that
things.
motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. How do you vote?
Yes.
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 And yes. So we are in closed session.
Hey, Lauren, thanks for keeping us all on target here. Have a good rest of the